doing traveling with Sam, doing stuff with Jay Ford. I saw, the billboards up in LA. You're doing all this different type of stuff. Can I hear a little bit more about kind of that transition from then to now and all the different projects you're doing? Maybe, yeah, kind of start with that.
Yeah, I mean, so it wasn't like until like half a year after I got out of rehab. I had a couple, very hard things that happened in the beginning process of my rehab where, my best friend committed suicide and I had lost the house that I was living in with him and, I just lost my Planet Fitness job and, I ended up, being like living in my car for a little bit and, just trying to figure things out in like a new world of sobriety. And I just spent my last check on a Canon 5D Mark III. And I was just like, okay, prior to buying that camera, I was like, okay, I have a lump sum of money. I'm like, I can go back to drinking or drugging, or I could just try something for once in my life and truly stick to it. And I just remember being in my car and telling one of my friends, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give my all into photography, and I'm gonna utilize exactly what skateboarding taught me. And if you really want something, you're gonna go through any length to do it. And with skateboarding, I used to skate every day for 9 hours, and it's just like that practice, patience, and perseverance, is what really like made me so hungry to kind of like learn how to deal with the client and learn how to be of service to a client and see how I could make money off of this.
Hmm.
But it didn't really come through like, okay, I want to make money. It was more in the beginning stage of this. It was like, I just want to learn. So I gave my all, I dedicated my whole life into like learning what, the exposure triangle was, what different lenses do, how to work with an on camera and off camera flash, and just really like, just grabbing that 50 millimeter and taking like bokeh blurry pictures of like flowers and thinking this is the best image I've ever shot. It's just like, getting in that phase and I was just so infatuated with just learning everything and within like, you know, I was just posting on Instagram and I would post my hikes. I would go on hikes and I would just get messages from people in my high school like, "Hey, like I've never seen you do something like this. Like this is amazing. I'm so proud of you." And you know how to shoot a quinceañera? And I'm like, no, but I told them, yeah. And then I just like took that gig for shot a whole quinceañera for like $200 and, just went home and just kind of like studied how do you shoot a quinceañera? What is the format? What lenses do I need? And, from one client to the other, it was just like a chain reaction of just word of mouth. And, I just within 6 months I became full time and
Wow.
I was able to pay off like my car debt, which was like 8K and like, getting a little spot and just being able to like afford, living and just going on with life and being able to invest on other equipment and, finding another business partner and, it was just like it happened so quick and I wasn't expecting all of that, and like and in between that, my best friend Jordan was like, "Hey, let's go to Europe." At the time, I never even been out of California. I was so just,
Wow.
like I've been adopted, a couple times, and
Mhm.
I never really had parents take me out on adventures. So it was just like at the age of 23, my life just started, and I was like, "All right, let's go to Europe." So I took my camera out there, and we did 7 countries in 13 days, and I was just absolutely blown away, dude. I'll never forget. Our first country was France. Okay.
Mhm.
And this just shows you how much I didn't travel back then. And I remember getting I remember getting on the bus and like I am just so excited to be in another country. And I'm like, and the bus is quiet and I turned around and I told the French guy next to me, I was like, I'm from America. Where are you from? And everybody started laughing. And they laughed and then they stopped laughing and they mad dogged me and didn't talk to me and they just ignored me. And I was like, what's wrong? What did I say wrong? And then after traveling for a little bit, then you realize like, oh, okay, don't ever do that. Not too many people like Americans. And it was just such a, it was just such a new experience. And then, from, having those type of lifestyle clients and stuff like that, and then going to another country or multiple countries, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. The travel and outdoors and adventure is my heart. Like, it was just the tool for me to, it was a reason for me to go out and travel and just capture these like photos early in the morning that people don't want to wake up to, and just
Hmm.
experiencing all of these new feelings and emotions. I was just like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
going back to what you said about you start with photography, and I like what you said about skateboarding, how it does teach a lot of lessons. I feel like people might not assume that about skateboarding. It's more of like a bad boy thing. Maybe some parents are like, oh, it's a waste of time. I don't want my kids doing that. I'd rather them doing school. But like you're saying, I think that people can actually learn a lot of lessons from that. There's to break 24 bones, you got to be extremely dedicated. You got to be dedicated to your craft every day, working on it, learning discipline. Even previously in like job interviews and stuff, there was some questions where I did answer with a skateboard story, and I think it was very relevant, and they liked the answer because even how I wasn't at that level, I completely agree that you can learn a lot there. And one question I have as well. So yeah, from there to starting photography to becoming a professional photography, paying off your debts and all that in just a couple months' time, what do you think made that such a fast process? I mean, that's incredibly um, very impressive to go from just a hobby or something you're just getting into to professional right away. Why do you think that was? Like, what's the main thing that people you think could learn from that?
Well, I mean, so I think it was just utilizing, and I wasn't utilizing. I think it was just more of like the people that did know me, right? It was my
Hmm.
circle, and kind of, I didn't know it at the time that I was doing it, but I was marketing myself as somebody that is building up a passion and showing the end work of what my passion was looking like every single day with like hikes and showing my behind the scenes of me taking a photo to the photo. And this was before reels happened, so it was just
Hmm.
like all story driven. And and I think that because of that, I think like all of the word of mouth pretty much happened, and it was just all of the people that I did know, because like all of us, we started Instagram with no following, and it's all of our beginning following before you're a creative is the people that your friends from high school, your uncles, aunties, stuff like that. So it was just like, hey, like I was just marketing myself, and
Hmm.
it wasn't even like I wasn't even growing a following. It was utilizing like the people that I do know, and like it just kind of built up like that.
And was there a certain point in that process when you kind of thought, wait a second,